Well, good morning everyone, and a warm welcome to this, the Rugby League special, which features New Zealand against France. It's the second test, the second of two tests to be played in France. And let's see if the Kiwis can maintain their unbeaten record. Match will start at around about 3 o'clock today, and we'll be taking you across to Carcassonne very, very shortly. But before that, I want to introduce my cohort for the morning, and goodness knows how he was able to wake up at this time of the day. Alan McLaughlin. Good to see you, Alan.
Good morning, Phil.
Alan, what can we expect in this match? New Zealand have looked impressive in France in some of their games. Another easy win or not?
Well, only 2 points in the first test, and the Kiwis had to work very hard to overcome a very spirited French side. I think we saw as much as France could offer in the first test, and I would expect a vast improvement from the Kiwi side. They were bitterly disappointed to win the match only by 2 points and failed to score in the second half, as did France. So I would expect their two matches since that test, they've run up 70 points in one match, a record for New Zealand, and 60 in the other. So obviously the form's starting to flow. Last match of the tour, they'll be keen to finish on a high note and get out of France.
Okay, Alan McLaughlin. We'll be talking more with Alan in one moment. And in fact, before we do that, we're going to take a short commercial break and be back with you before we take you live to Carcassonne to our commentators this morning, Grant Nisbet and also Keith Quinn. So there are 4 new test caps for this match against France. George Mann, Mike Kawiti, Dean Clark and Dave Watson. Let's see how the New Zealanders perform. I gather the bus has arrived safely, so that's the most important news. The Kiwis are standing by, and 2 other Kiwis that are standing by are Grant Nisbet and Keith Quinn, and I understand that it's a wonderful day in Carcassonne as we take you live there now. Let's go to them.
Hello and welcome to the Albert Demick Stadium in Carcassonne. And you join us just as the New Zealand side is being introduced to dignitaries on this beautifully fine day. And there, in fact, is the New Zealand team for this afternoon's test match. A couple of changes from the team that played 2 weeks ago. Of course, Kevin Iro is missing. He is injured, and Kurt Sorensen is retired. So David Watson has come onto the wing. Dean Clark starts his first test match, and in the forward pack, George Mann comes into the front row. And Mike Kawiti takes the position that was previously occupied by Kurt Sorensen. It's a lovely day here in Carcassonne for this match, the last match, in fact, of the Kiwis' 17-match tour, and they're looking to go out on a high note. A bigger crowd here than we had 2 weeks ago, and generally speaking, it seems that the atmosphere is here today that was missing just a few weeks ago. Now, here is the French lineup for this afternoon's match. It shows several changes from the team that played 2 weeks ago. Onto the wing comes number 2, Philippe Chiron, in place of the previous captain, Hugh Ratier, and this means that number 6, Gilles Dumas, takes over as the team captain. A new name in the forward pack is prop Yves Storer, in for the injured Terry Boutignol, while the rest of the pack remains intact. And a change for the Kiwis, a man to watch, of course, is number 13, Terry Burnenby. Now the anthems.
You've got to encourage the whole time. Take it to him, nothing short. Go up, hit him on your advantage.
Well, Hugh McGann giving the Kiwis a bit of a rev up there during the anthems as the referee, Robin Whitfield, heads out towards centre field. We'll have the Kiwi haka very shortly. And a chance also to introduce Keith Quinn, who's joined us in Carcassonne for this match, and quite an atmosphere here, Keith.
Well, it really feels like a test match atmosphere. Grant, there was a great quote from Hugh McGann while the anthem was playing. Don't ever hear yourself saying nothing, he said to his teammates. In other words, he's calling for massive communication between the players. So they're really very keen to end this tour on a high note and give the French team a real hiding here today. And it really does feel like a test match. It's quite marvellous. And I think, Grant, there's quite a difference from when you were here a fortnight ago for the first test.
Yes, absolutely. The weather conditions are better. It was very, very windy that day. There still is quite a wind coming from left to right as we'll see this game as we look at Robin Whitfield. He did the first test, but there's a bigger crowd by far. In fact, it looks to me as though there's twice as many people here. No doubt encouraged by the performance of the French team in that first test when they were very close. They went out to a 14-0 lead and the Kiwis got it back to 16-14 at half-time, and that was the score at the end, in fact. So it was a near thing, and as you say, the Kiwis want to go out, want to finish this tour on a high note, and they're pretty revved up for this game. And one or two significant changes in the team, with George Mann coming into the front row and Mike Kiwis getting his first full international in the forwards anyway, and Dean Clark and Dave Watson, two players who've had extremely good tours. And there is the main stand, and as you can see, it's pretty full.
Lovely afternoon here in this lovely town of Carcassonne, and we've thoroughly enjoyed a couple of days here in preparation. We're going to see the New Zealand team haka to start the game, led I think by Sam Stewart.
Sam Stewart and Mike Kiwis. Looks like a dual effort up front. Well, I think that might have been the best rendition of the haka we've seen on the tour. Some of the performances have been a little bit lukewarm, but that was a good one from the Kiwis.
Another man on the public address system is calling out for the French team, so quite a bit of enthusiasm being whipped up here. I'm really looking forward to this, Grant. My first away rugby league test.
Well, the man on the public address system has got the crowd going. That is the French response to the New Zealand haka, the New Zealand challenge. So in the first half, it'll be the Kiwis playing from right to left, and they're playing into a light wind. Chance also to welcome viewers to Screen Sport all around Europe as the second test is kicked off, and the Kiwis in possession. Number 5 is Gary Mercer, and a good strong run from Mercer to get this game going. Out it goes from Dwayne Manor to his cousin George Mann. George Mann, who's played very, very strongly in the last couple of weeks and certainly deserves his chance in the test side this afternoon. Now Dwayne Mann, and the referee's going to establish the 5 metres immediately. The Kiwis were a little unhappy in the first test. They felt that the French were standing up a bit flat, and Robin Whitfield very early on has said that the French weren't back the required distance. And here's Darryl Williams. Ball stayed in the field of play. It was knocked forward, but they play advantage there, so the Kiwis back in possession. Man up to Todd. Brett Todd and George Mann are the two props for New Zealand. They'll be doing a lot of running today. Here's Gary Freeman, who will have a significant effect. There's George Mann ranging wide, and almost through was Dean Clark. Good start here by the Kiwis. 8 metres on their own side of halfway. Now it comes to Freeman. Here's Sam Stewart. Solid tackling by the French team as the Kiwi skipper plays it. Now Freeman, across to Stewart. Sam Stewart didn't last long in the first test. He took a very hefty knock early on. There's the kick coming from Tony Kemp, and he's thumped to the ground. Not late. Kiwis making sure they're early tackles as well. Philippe Cheron. Here's the fullback, Jean-Philippe Peugeot. No score on the game, couple of minutes gone. Here's Ontar. Again, it's Chiron. That's the 10-metre line in French territory. Still no score. Here's the kick coming from Gilles Dumas. Kemp has run into good position here, just inside his quarter line. Now, he's always dangerous in this position, Tony Kemp. He's so elusive, and you saw he got through a couple of early tackles there. So both sides just feeling each other out in this opening stanza. Here's Gary Mercer. Releases across to Dean Bell. And Dave Watson has knocked on out on the right wing side. So the Kiwis make an early mistake. There's Dave Watson out on the far side.
Early impression, Grant, is that the crowd here in the stand are delighted with the early tackles being put in by the French team. They're really cheering everyone to the echo, so they're trying from the stands to encourage the 13 players on the field.
First scrum in the game. And the French take it out. Comes to Dumas, the captain. Here's David Price, the man who scored an early try in that first test. Dumas, he left it behind, and the Kiwis have it. Well, he didn't look terribly keen to get that loose ball, and Hugh McGann swooped in and grabbed it quickly. Freeman takes it out, gives it to George Mann. All good thumping run by George Mann. Look at the strength of this fellow. And it's no wonder that St Helens rate him so highly. Nice little pass to Kawiti. The referee ruled it forward. Robin Whitfield was a long way from being in line there, but he ruled it forward. Kiwis don't seem too concerned that call was made against them. Finally come back to the French. Good little run by Patrick Ontar. Finally, McGann made the tackle. That was Jean-Luc Rabot, the prop forward. Ontar takes it out to Dumas. And again, it's been lost, but not lost forward this time. The French still in control of it. Here's Chiron. Taken away again by the French. Ontar. And Yves Storer. Taken down 5 metres out. The French threatening the line here. As K-Demi out to Dumas. Burnhamby. And the Kiwis have made the telling tackle on Bujo, and Sam Stewart scoops it up. So once again, the Kiwis having to absorb some early pressure here. Watson in centre field, 15 metres out from the line. Here's George Mann. Another good run by Mann. Takes it up and just over the quarter line. He's a hard man to put down. He manages to stand in the tackle. Here's Todd. No score on the game. And we've had just over 5 minutes play. Here's Mike Kawiti. Kiwis have taken it to 10 metres from halfway. This is the last tackle. They're looking for Gary Freeman. Floats it across to Mercer. Gets inside a high one. And the French have it. Mercer's gone down. The flag is up.
Yeah, Todd foot tripped the man, I think, Grant. I think it's Brent Todd that is going to be called out. Touch judge was right there on the spot. It was definitely a foot trip that brought the Frenchman down. So another New Zealand player over on his back in centre field. Here it comes again. Have a look at Todd here with his left leg. Yeah, that's pretty bad, isn't it? Stretching out on a reflex and knocking that French player to the ground.
Well, that's Gary Mercer, who's still down. He looks to be in a fair bit of trouble, Gary Mercer. So the Kiwis at the moment only have 12 players in action. And Robin Whitfield's going to lay down the law again for Hugh McGann. And the Kiwis, in fact, have been penalised as Whitfield is gesturing. There's too much chatting going on.
Back chat to the referee, I imagine. That was his gesture, and serious situation up at halfway. Gary Mercer.
Peter Boyle, the New Zealand physio, he's on the left there, and Wayne Morris, the doctor, both in there having a look at Gary Mercer, and he looks to be in a fair bit of strife. The back reserves for the Kiwis are Kurt Sherlock and Kelly Shelford. Dumas pushed that kick to the right, so an early chance for France to hit the front has been missed by Gilles Dumas, the captain. And we come back to the quarter line with 7 minutes gone and no score. Although you can't see him at the moment, Gary Mercer is still being attended to near halfway as Darryl Williams gets it underway again. Kiwis chasing up hard. And they really did chase up that time. And it was Patrick Ontar, the halfback, who took it down. K to me hands it up to Rubbo. 5 metres on the Kiwi side of halfway. There's Gary Mercer just getting to his feet now. Kabastani is met in a solid tackle by Brent Todd. Dean Clark was there as well. Brents have made an error. The Kiwis will have it through Gary Freeman. Flicks it up to Dean Bell. Could open out here to the right for the Kiwis. Bell running and had support from Dave Watson, but there were rather too many Frenchmen there. Now here's Watson. Watson doubling around again. Took the pass with the return pass from Freeman. Mercer is now back on the left wing side. Looks to be in reasonable shape. Here's George Mann. He's had a strong game already, Mann. Makes ground every time. His cousin Dwayne Mann now goes into play at dummy half. Sam Stewart back to Freeman, across to McGann. Here's Bell again, up to Watson. Elusive runner, Dave Watson. Gets down inside the quarter. McGann tried to shift the traffic, asking the referee how the heck anyone can play the ball. Now McGann. A long one from Freeman, across to Stewart. Too much room there in the centre field for Sam Stewart. Quickly plays it again. Now Freeman. Freeman under to Kawiti. Up to Darryl Williams. Here's Tony Kemp, and the first try coming up for the Kiwis as Tony Kemp skirts round and scores a very good try. Nice build-up work from the Kiwis, and they've got the start they wanted in this game, and full-back Tony Kemp scores the first try.
9 minutes on, good skillful play. I was watching Mercer on the wing right throughout that, Grant. You say he's up on his feet, and he is, but he's in pretty bad shape. He's limping very badly at the moment. He might not be on the field for much longer, but it was a superb piece of timing. The play was coming out towards Mercer. As you see it come along the line, you see the passer here is Freeman, number 7, and it's coming out, and we were just wondering whether they could get a look at Mercer there, but a nice piece of work by Freeman. And then Kawiti's pass, the next one from Darryl Williams to Kemp, and Kemp beat the poor defence on the inside and was over comfortably for the try. So that's pretty good by the New Zealanders, because in the first 10 minutes the French played very soundly indeed, and they had the territorial advantage, and I think that was the first or second time the New Zealanders had come up into French territory, and the try has resulted. So good beginning for number 1, Tony Kemp.
Tony Kemp, in fact, will attempt to convert his own try. The Kiwis' main goal kickers on this tour, Phil Bancroft and Kelly Shelford, and neither of them are on the park today, although Shelford is a reserve. And so it's Tony Kemp, and my memory serves me right, he hasn't taken a kick on the tour. There's been 1 or 2 other goal kickers around, but I don't think Kemp has had a shot at goal on the tour, but here he is now. Oh, he's hit the post, so it's no goal. So Kemp goes back to position, having scored the try, but not able to convert it. 4 points to 0, and we've gone just 11 minutes now in the first half. Dumar then. Awkward bouncing ball. And what's he going to rule? He's going to rule that it touched one of the Kiwis. They did their best to avoid the ball touching them, so they could go back to the quarter line, but Robin Whitfield has decided that it touched one of them, and it's a dropout from the goal line. I'm not so sure that he was right there. Kiwis were complaining. And Darryl Williams now kicking into quite a stiffish breeze. Not a bad nudge, though. Down to Philippe Fouquet, one of the centres in this French team. Taken out by Ontar. Dumar. They're pretty bunched, the French. Not too many of them running onto the ball. And the Kiwis coming up flat in defence. K to me this time. There's Burnenby, number 13. He was a real danger man in the first test, but I think the Kiwis have cottoned onto him. This is Kabastani, the second row. That's a good run. Freeman has to make the tackle. with assistance from Stewart. Well, that player didn't know the ball was coming. That was prop forward Jean-Luc Rabot. And Mike Kiwis has possession for the Kiwis. And the Kiwis get a penalty too, as Daniel Duvay was lying all over the top of Kiwis. Certain lack of understanding there in the French attack.
There's a look at Gary Mercer there, so he's moving a bit freer now.
Well, in fact, the call was for Mercer to come and take that pass, and he wasn't able to do it, so I think he's still struggling a bit as Todd quickly gave it away to Freeman. Here's George Mann. Mercer's battling out on the left wing side. Darryl Williams saw a nice little pass to Dean Bell, puts him in the clear. Now, has he got any support? He really had to take the tackle there because he just lost his support temporarily. Lovely little slip pass from Darryl Williams. Now Watson, across to Freeman. Here's Clark. George Mann, they're transferring quickly here. McGann across to Kawiti. They've come right across. Williams. And not a good pass from Darryl Williams. And Gary Mercer is really struggling.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be too much help to the New Zealand team if he's not going to be able to take part. Because twice there, you said the move was called from the come in, Grant. Then he was not able to take that pass there at the end of the chain.
It looks to me as though Kurt Sherlock is was preparing to come onto the field. Mercer's still there at the moment. Scrum has virtually collapsed. It's finally brought out by the French, though. And the Kiwi tackling is safe and it's solid. Oh, another mistake made, and the Kiwis have it. Sam Stewart. Great attacking opportunity here now as Dwayne Mann has it. Up to George Mann. They're only 15 metres out in centre field. They lead by 4 points to 0 to the Kiwis. Now Dwayne Mann to Freeman. Here's Clark. Back to Freeman again. Holds it up for Bell. To Kemp. Kemp gets under a head-high one. Williams lobs it across into centre field where Sam Stewart is.
Big fight out to the left.
There is a big go out to the left. Oh, tell you what, the referee just about wore one then. I don't see the touch judge in on this occasion.
The touch judge is more important, more concerned, I think, with getting Kurt Sherlock onto the field to replace Mercer, but I watched that quite closely, and that Frenchman started put the heavy work in on Kemp in the tackle, and I think that New Zealanders are going to get a rough end of the stick here, because when Kemp was tackled, the Frenchman whacked him with a forearm across the side of the head, so Kemp retaliated.
Well, the French get the penalty. The Kiwis are desperate to get Kurt Sherlock on. They've done that too, so a change has been made. Gary Mercer is off. There's a big kick downfield. That's a great kick. Taken in hard by Storup. Once again, the French losing possession. Some big tackling going on here from the Kiwis. They've really set their mind to it today. They're going to make the tackles, and they're going to make them stick. Here's Burnhamby. But look at the Kiwis over the top there. 1, 2, 3 of them. 4 points to 0 then. 16 minutes gone in the game. Darryl Williams is now out on the left wing side, so Kurt Sherlock has gone into the centres. That also means, of course, that the Kiwis now have an established goal kicker on the field. Storup. Here's the kick coming from Gilles Dumars. It's angled out towards Dave Watson on the right wing side. He did well too, Watson. And away he goes. What a good little run from Dave Watson. 14 tries on this tour. Now Dwayne Mann across to Freeman. Brent Todd working hard as usual. Freeman takes the first pass. Looking to probe. Gets caught pretty high. Chest high, says the referee. man to play it on the 10-metre line. Offside against France. Gilles Dumas, the captain's gone down as a shot. Touch judge was right there. He said there was nothing wrong with that. George Mann, I think, might have just given him a wee shot.
He gave him a push. It was a push rather than anything more dangerous looking than that, but the crowd reacted. Captain's okay all of a sudden. The penalty was out in midfield at the same time.
Not sure what the French word for Hollywood is.
Well, there's no H, so it'll be Hollywood.
Hollywood. So the Kiwis in possession then. 10 metres on the French side of halfway. They lead by 4-0. 18 minutes gone in the first half. Here's Dwayne Mann up to Todd. Brent Todd takes it now, 15 metres short of the quarter line. Dwayne Mann up to Kiwis. He lost it. Calling for Dumas. There's Chiron. Good tackle, Darryl Williams. Beautiful turnaround. France have it. 10 metres on the Kiwi side of halfway. Here's Dumas. Offside against the Kiwis this time. Right in centre field. And Dumas himself will kick for goal here.
I think that was a good decision by the referee. He's obviously going to be fair to both sides and police that one out there. And he's penalised the Kiwis out in midfield. Just a reminder that this telecast is going live to you in New Zealand, but also live on Screen Sport throughout Europe. We'd like to welcome Screen Sport viewers throughout Great Britain and Europe to this telecast, coming to you from the Albert Domac Stadium in Carcassonne, France. The second test between New Zealand and France, and a shot at goal coming up here for the French captain, Gilles Dumas.
Oh, and he's missed another one. Well, that was right in centre field. It wasn't a difficult kick for Dumas. And so the Kiwis continue to lead by 4 points to 0. And there'll be a restart from the quarter line. Just reminding you that Gary Mercer is off. Kurt Sherlock is on. And Tony Kemp then from the quarter line. This is Kabastani. Just on the Kiwi side of halfway. Kabastani plays it to Ontar. First time I've seen Cyril Pont involved at all. He's the left winger. Burnham pops it up. Good, solid tackling again. Kawiti and Clark. Little left one in there from Dean Clark. Wasn't seen. Most of the crowd saw it, though, I can tell you that.
Well, it was the first punch once again, Grant, came from the Frenchman. The crowd didn't see that one. I don't think we're watching with one eye up here, but they just didn't see the first swing come from the Frenchman.
Jacques Jourdard, he's the trainer for the French side. He was on his feet and screaming at the touch judge. France in possession. Oh, look at that tackle from Hugh McGann. That stopped the prop forward Yves Storer stone dead. Still standing is the fullback Peugeot. Last tackle. France haven't made a lot of ground here. They're 85 metres on their own side of halfway. The kick downfield by Ontar down to Kemp. Now, Kemp hasn't got a Frenchman within 30 metres of him at the moment. Well, he runs into a good tackle from the captain. And Gilles Dumas felt that too, as Dave Watson has a run. Some strong tackling on both sides here. Here's Dean Bell. He was taken by Didier Kapastani. Just over halfway through the first half. Now Freeman. Up to Sam Stewart. Stewart hasn't played a game since that first test when he went off injured. Now Brent Todd. Had a good tour, Todd. He'll be back in training with Canberra Raiders in a couple of weeks. They're in work well before Christmas in Australia. Now Kawiti, nice little double around to Freeman. He got under a head-high job. And the referee's in there too. And I think he's going to have a word with the Frenchman, surely. Oh, it's a turnover. Some pretty heavy work going on Gary Freeman. So Rabo now plays it to Ontar. Avastani. Number 14 there, that's Kurt Sherlock. He's the replacement on the field. He's a good tackler, Sherlock. Zumar taken by his opposite number, Dean Clark. Avastani. Pass knocked down by McGann. Can't regain it, or can he? No. Ball still loose. Dwayne Mann, the sole Kiwi there. And there's a good example of Kurt Sherlock's tackling ability. Kicked through in the tackle by Sam Stewart and knocked on by the Frenchman. Good play by the Kiwis. They're keeping the pressure on. They're maintaining the effort. Now watch this. It's a scrum. It's all a bit frenetic.
Is it ever? Incredible, isn't it? Exciting stuff. Lots happening. Boisterous crowd all around us here. Just sitting amongst the crowd. There's no broadcasting box here, and it's all on hands and arms gestures, waving.
Gary Freeman to feed the scrum. Takes it out quickly. Clark. Good run by Dean Clark. Almost up to the quarter line where Freeman waits. Hands it up to Stewart. Stewart looks for his supporting player. It's McGann. Here's Kurt Sherlock. Hands it over the top to Freeman. Up to Clark again. The crowd like that a bit more. Dwayne Mann. Up to Brent Todd. Todd looking inside. Now here's Dwayne Mann. Freeman. Sam Stewart. Man again, now Freeman. Kawiti. Kawiti, a good long pass across to Bell. Here's Dean Bell in the gap again. Still standing Bell, and going for the corner. And the flag's gone up across on the far side, indicating that Bell is out just short of the corner. And what a good run from Dean Bell. Dave Watson, his supporting player, I think came in field, as he could see that there wasn't much room across there. And Bell taken out just near the corner flag.
Dean Bell asking the question there. I think Gary Freeman was indicating that perhaps it was a pretty good call, that his feet were out just before the line. Well, France had it. They lost it, though. I think the Kiwis might be back in possession. They are. Watson. Here's McGann across to Clark. Good hands from Sherlock. Across towards Darryl Williams. Williams looking to slip it to Kemp if he can. Can't quite make the tackle. It's only Kemp then to take it out. Here's Kawiti. "25 minutes gone in the first half, 4 points to 0. Here's Freeman again. Oh, slipped it nicely to McGann. It's gone loose. It wasn't McGann, in fact it was Sherlock, as McGann took off for the posts. Kurt Sherlock, former All Black of course, in 1985 in Argentina. Nowadays playing rugby league with Eastern Suburbs in Sydney. And that growth has come on the tour in the last 4 or 5 weeks. The French not getting the same liberties they got on the first test. The Kiwi tackling has been tough. Brace, local player from Carcassonne. Played in the team here there were about 10 days ago. They got beaten by 70-0. Big kick down to Darryl Williams. The high ball shouldn't worry Darryl Williams. He's been used to that in the fullback position, of course. Now Sherlock up to Kemp. Here's Dave Watson away in one of those elusive runs of his again. Look at this. Just a little fellow, but my word, when he gets ahead of steam up, he's off. And offside here, I think, against France. French were complaining that the ball wasn't played correctly, but the referee had already made his mind up that it was offside.
So here's another opportunity for the Kiwis. They're 18 metres out from the line with Dwayne Mann to play it to Watson. Now Dwayne Mann up to Todd. Todd gives it to Clark. They're right in centre field now, which gives them more options. Because they're going to come left. Now they're going to pop it to the right, in fact. Again, quickly to Stewart. Tries to get the pass underneath to Kemp. Kemp still standing. And another strong run there from Tony Kemp. You can see the goal line. It's just 10 metres away. Dean Bell takes it out. Gives it up to Todd. And Todd flicked it across towards Watson. And France back in possession. Bit of a standoff there between the two little halfbacks. About 12 minutes left in the first half. Here's Dumas. France making no progress at all. Good solid defence here by the Kiwis. Last tackle, so they've managed to get the ball about 5 metres upfield. They'll have to look for the kicker now. And in fact, they won't need the kicker because the Kiwis have been penalised. And Price will get a free kick at it this time.
I wonder if Hugh McGann will be getting a wee bit worried, Grant. The New Zealanders have had by far the better of the first 30 minutes, and they've only just got that one break for a try by Tony Kemp. I wonder if they would be feeling that they should be more points on the board to show, more points to show for this tremendous effort that they've put in the first 30 minutes.
Boy, that was a good tackle by Dwayne Mann. There's Kay to me. Little gap opening up. Yves Storer, number 10. Better attack from the French. Here's Cavastani. Kay to me, the hookup. Out to Dumas. Kay to me again. Burnenby. Well taken by George Mann. George Mann making a lot of tackles there. He was over the top assisting Sam Stewart again. Very confusing move there. I think more confusing perhaps for the French than anything else. And it's a turnover or a handover. Kiwis have it. And Todd plays it to Mike Kiwiti. Pushes the little halfback away easily enough. Mike Kiwiti in his first full international today. Here's George Mann. Kiwis 10 metres out from their own quarter line here. Freeman. Todd across to McGann. They're all standing still a bit. It's left to Sam Stewart to go in and take the crunch. 11 metres on the New Zealand side of halfway. Now Dwayne Mann out to Freeman. Not a good pass that time, and Kiwiti had to reach back for it. And the Kiwis are penalised. So here's another opportunity for France to kick for goal. I think the captain has decided his goal kicking is not good enough. Gilles Dumas. And I think it's David Freist who's going to kick for goal here. France running in the first half with quite a stiff breeze behind them. So that'll be of some encouragement to the Kiwis to know that they in fact will turn around with the wind behind them in the second half. But they, as you say, perhaps feel they should have converted some of these opportunities into points.
Yeah, well, see, here's a kick that if it goes over, it'll mean 4-2. For all that good work, they'll only have an advantage of 2 points. Still, the French are holding together at the moment. And they did through the first test, Grant, I'm told, so they'll be pleased too. So we're in for a good game. But I do think the New Zealanders perhaps should have had more points on the board than 4. 10 would have been a more fair reflection of what we've seen in terms of territorial dominance.
David Price Well, he's made a real hash of that.
A shocking kick. He's got a really very high, and it just flew away at an angle, nearly sort of halfway between the posts and the corner flag.
So what's that? 3 misses
That's
now?
3 misses they've had. 2 to Dumas and 1 to Fresh.
So the Kiwis let off the hook a bit. Now the ball's going to bounce here. Oh, and a bounce for the Kiwis. Well, they should never let that one bounce. Everybody said it's yours, and Dwayne Manswell will have it. And so Hugh McGann takes it out now, gives it up to Freeman. Here's Kurt Sherlock. Flicked it nicely to Freeman. Sherlock's played well since he's come on the field. It's taking a while to get off Gary Freeman. Has a look around to say to the referee, well, what's the story? Here's Sam Stewart. He'll unload if he can. Hugh McGann was right there waiting for the pass. Stewart just couldn't let it go. Now Mann up to Freeman, looking for Dean Bell, who's played well. As the centres have had some penetration, both Dean Bell and Kurt Sherlock. Here's George Mann. Still standing. Flicked it up to Freeman. He got his pass away all right. Here's Clark. And Clark has taken 18 metres out. Last tackle. Freeman lobs a little kick in. Could be a good one too. Dean Bell has it, but he'll have to hand it over. Good little kick by Gary Freeman. Dean Bell had been able to free his arms there. Might have been a bit dangerous. And Bell was there to make a pretty telling tackle as well. Dean Bell is one of those players who just loves to play for his country. Couldn't wait to get back here and play in the second test. He's been away to Wigan since the first test, had a couple of games there. There he is, number 3, the Wigan captain. France in possession, running it out near their own posts. Talking of Wigan, I know that Kevin Hero and Adrian Shelford will be watching this game live through Spring Sport throughout Europe, watching it in Wigan. 4 points to 0. Down to Kemp. 5 metres on the Kiwi side of halfway. As they say in American football, a gain of 10 metres there by Tony Kemp. Here's Darrell Williams up to Dave Watson. Here's Watson away on one of these runs. Flicks it up to Freeman. Freeman ran slap bang into Jean-Philippe Peugeot. Freeman always there though. Good strong run by Brett Todd. Todd to play it to Dwayne Mann. Now Freeman up to Clark. Across to Stewart. Here's Kurt Sherlock. Ball knocked away by a Frenchman into the arms of Clark. It's back with Watson again. Across to Kemp. And Tony Kemp was rather stumbling there. Now Kawiti. Here's George Mann, thrumping his way through again. 18 metres short of the line. The Kiwis ahead by 4 points to 0. A try scored by Tony Kemp. Now Freeman. Sam Stewart. We have another set of 6 started a couple of tackles ago after that ball was knocked on by a Frenchman. So the Kiwis have plenty of opportunities here. Some nice slick passing. Back it goes again to Kemp. Can't release. Right in centre field. Good strong defence here by France. Now Todd. Todd looks for Sherlock up to Kawiti. Trying to free the arms. Flicked it well to Williams. Oh, what a good pass from Mike Kawiti. And Darrell Williams gets the try, but all the hard work done by Mike Kawiti. Darrell Williams out on the left wing side has completed the try. The Kiwis built up well there, and it was finished by Darrell Williams.
To the pros, the New Zealand scene who play in Sydney. Darrell Williams, number 4, finishing that off superbly that time. Mike Kawiti was involved, I think, in the last pass to Tony Kemp for the first try. So good work by Mike Kawiti from the Upper Hutt Club in Wellington, who was on hand to number 4, Darrell Williams, for the try. We'll see the replay in a moment. New Zealand 8 and France 0. Time gone in the first half is 37 minutes. So that'll be of some relief for the New Zealanders who worked so hard and who played for a long time. For nearly half an hour they played with just a lead of 4-0. Tony Kemp with the kick to come.
Kemper's going to continue the goal kicking, even though his first one wasn't too flash. But they now know that Kurt Sherlock is on the field. Sherlock is a good goal kicker from close range. Somebody let off a firecracker just as Kemp went to kick, which probably didn't help the concentration much. So no goal, two unconverted tries. Let's have a look at this.
Here it comes again. Out to Freeman, who gets his pass away. And look for, there's Todd. Good pass off from Todd too to Sherlock, and an excellent pass by Sherlock. But look how Kiwis gets his hand free and time to roll out the pass to the left, where Darryl Williams was on hand and moving with sufficient momentum, be in for the try. 8-0.
Back live just after the kickoff, and Hugh McGann, the Kiwi skipper, has had a good run. He's over the quarter line. Plays it up to Dwayne Mann. Here's cousin George. Brent Todd, 2 tries scored by Tony Kemp and Darryl Williams. Sam Stewart that time. A little bit of confusion in the Kiwi ranks. Getting up towards half-time. Here's Kemp with the kick. Bringing the fullback Peugeot forward. Very hesitant though. I reckon the Kiwis are gathering a head of steam for a big second half performance here.
I think the French are ripe for the plucking, as they would say at the moment.
The French rooster?
Absolutely.
Tony Gordon made no secret of the fact he wanted to finish with a big one. Good tackle, Sherlock. Kurt Sherlock doesn't miss many tackles. They're all standing a bit still here. Ball's fallen for the Kiwis. Freeman has it. Looking for Dave Watson. Has support from Freeman, who's all over the park today. A little man from Balmain. Gets a bit slowly to his feet that time. Now George Mann gets under a head-high tackle, and that'll be called from Patrick Ontar, the little halfback. And George Mann, none too happy about that. That caught him flush in the face. And that was a good call by referee Whitfield.
This will be worth a shot of goal, Grant, wouldn't it? 10-0 at half-time. No, he's going into the corner. Just outside the 22.
Kiwis backing themselves to perhaps score another try from this movement. I think they have the same feeling that the French defence is just losing a little bit of its strength. Brent Todd will be the first man up. And in fact, that is half-time. So the Kiwis go to the break, leading by 8 points to 0. Try scored by Tony Kemp and Darryl Williams, and a good first half performance.
I've really enjoyed it. It's been a great effort by New Zealand. The French held together for the first 37 minutes, shall we say, before with just that break leading to the try by Kemp. But New Zealand slowly screwing them down, so that towards the end of the half, the French looked a lot more vulnerable. And I think it'll be interesting to see in the early stages of the second half whether the French can get their act back together, or whether the New Zealanders carry on and confirm their territorial and physical dominance of the first half. New Zealand 8 and France 0 at half-time. We'll be back shortly, Grant.
Okay, just a reminder that Tony Kemp and Darryl Williams scored the tries to make it 8-0, and New Zealand have one replacement on the field in the form of Kurt Sherlock with Gary Mercer off. And so that's the story after 40 minutes played. New Zealand 8 and France 0. Back very shortly.
January 1990. Auckland. The 14th Commonwealth Games. Exclusive to Television 1. New Zealand's One for Sport.
Can you bank on in your future years? We'll show you a life beyond your career. Who can you bank on? Who'll help you to see that there's more to the world than just you and me? Who can you bank on to keep working for you? Because your salary stops, but the bills never do. Who can you...
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we'll be joining Grant Nisbet and Keith Quinn in Carcassonne very, very shortly. Interesting to note that the Kiwis, as Keith mentioned, taking all the play to the French team. At the moment, however, having only crossed for those 2 tries, so just have the 8 points advantage. It'll be an interesting second half. Let's hope that they can consolidate and go on to a very easy victory indeed. Well, before we go further and talk to Alan McLaughlin and get his feelings on the match, let's take in the 2 try-scoring highlights that we saw during that first half.
Quickly plays it again. Now Freeman. Freeman under to Kiwis, up to Daryl Williams. Here's Tony Kemp for the first try coming up for the Kiwis as Tony Kemp skirts around and scores a very good try. Nice build-up work from the Kiwis, and they've got the start they wanted in this game, and full-back Tony Kemp scores the first try.
9 minutes on, good skillful play. I was watching Mercer on the wing right throughout that, Grant. You say he's up on his feet, and he is, but he's in pretty bad shape. He's limping very badly at the moment. He might not be on the field for much longer, but it was a superb piece of timing. The play was coming out towards Mercer. As you see it come along the line, you see the passer here is Freeman, number 7, and it's coming out, and we were just wondering whether they could get a look at Mercer there, but a nice piece of work by Freeman. And then Kiwis' pass, the next one from Daryl Williams to Kemp, and Kemp beat the poor defence on the inside and was over comfortably for the try.
Good strong defence here by France. Now Todd. Todd looks for Sherlock, up to Kiwis, trying to free the arms, flicked it well to Williams. Oh, what a good pass from Mike Kiwis. And Daryl Williams gets the try, but all the hard work done by Mike Kiwis. Daryl Williams out on the left wing side has completed the try. The Kiwis built up well there.
Indeed, a couple of good tries there, and Alan, I think that certainly Tony Kemp sort of a little bit hesitant, but some good running by the backs, particularly Gary Freeman.
Yes, I think the new players as well have gone pretty well. I'd like to see George Mann get involved a little bit more. I watched him in the first half. He tended to do a lot of tackling, but hasn't carted the ball up as much, and they're missing him out in a few moves. I think the other new players, Dean Clark has tackled well, and Mike Kiwis, of course, with that lovely pass to set up the try. And overall, the Kiwis have put a lot of pressure, and perhaps 8 point is not quite as good as they would have expected. I'd like to see a few more options. The French backs, from what we can see, are still getting up offside out wide, which is destroying any movement New Zealand have, and perhaps they should look to get a bit more depth, and they haven't seen too much kicking either. I'd like to see a bit more chip kicking over the top perhaps from Gary Freeman to try and just turn the French backs around a bit more and get them onside a bit more.
Certainly taking the ball wide, that has proved to be the big factor in our success in this game so far.
Well, both tries have come from spreading the ball wide, haven't it? And we've tended to turn the ball back on the inside again like we did in the first test, and we play into the French hands. But the French have done a lot of tackling in the first half, and that could easily tell in the second spell.
And niggly types, aren't they, the French? You can see they get the first dig in, and then of course the Kiwi retaliates and normally ends up with the penalty.
Well, we didn't see the touch judges come on in the first test, but this time they have come on a couple of times, and the French are not averse to do it. You notice the hands going up around the face in the tackles, and it is really annoying for the players, and I think our players have done pretty well to control themselves at this stage. Their penalty count is shared at this stage.
So what's your prediction for the second half? Will they run away with this one?
Well, I don't know about run away, but they certainly would like to spread the ball wide, and I'd like to see Tony Kemp hitting the line more and coming in on the burst, and the same with Dave Watson. I've been most impressed with the tackling of Kurt Sherlock, and he's linking up nicely, but I think the Kiwis will open it up in the second half.
Okay, Alan McLaughlin. Well, now let's rejoin the action in Carcassonne. Back to Grant Nisbet and Keith Quinn.
Stadium in Carcassonne for the second half of the second Rugby League International between New Zealand and France. And at the break, New Zealand leads by 8 points to 0, having scored 2 tries. Tony Kemp the first, Daryl Williams the second, and they were perhaps worth a few more than that in the first half, but they only managed to score 8 points to 0, and New Zealand losing Gary Mercer in that first half to be replaced by Kurt Sherlock. Just a reminder also that this match is worth World Cup points, as indeed was the third test between New Zealand and Great Britain, and Great Britain won that time by 10 points to 6. But this is worth World Cup points, and New Zealand looking pretty good at the moment as they come back onto the park. There's Darryl Williams, who scored the second try. And I'm sure the Kiwis, Keith, will give this all they've got for the last 40 minutes of what has been a very long tour for them.
It's been a long tour, right? They've had 18 games, and well, one of them they didn't get to. That was the midweek one at Avignon when the bus was delayed along the route. But players like Gary Freeman here been away for a long time, and they'd obviously like to finish on an upswing. And they look as though they're going to win the game, but it's a matter of what they can put together in the second half. They certainly looked as though they might have been a bit better than 8-0 in that first 40 minutes.
So just having a quick look at the two teams on the field to see whether in fact there are any replacements, and I can't see any in the New Zealand side. Looks like number 17 is on for France, so we'll just check in fact to see who that is. Denis Bien. Denis Bien. Looks like he might be playing on the left wing side, so we'll check that as time goes on. Anyway, we're about to go. Referee Whitfield signals time on, and the second half underway as Kurt Sherlock starts for the Kiwis, taken in by Patrick Ontar, the little halfback for France. There is the new man, Bien, and the Kiwis tackling going to be strong early on. Dumas. And a head-high tackle there from Brent Todd. I think that's the call. Went a bit high. So here's Frace, number 4. Local player from Carcassonne. His kick is in touch. Interesting change here. Dave Watson, we're not destined to see him up close here. He's playing out on the left wing side now, and we've got Darryl Williams out on the right.
It's kept the same from the first half.
French have it, and the French also have a penalty. Might have been a case for playing advantage there, but referee Whitfield had made the decision to go for the penalty. So here's Gilles Dumas. Ontar puts it on the mark. Up to Dumas. Oh, McGann came up and made a big tackle. That's the sort of commitment that the Kiwis are going to need in this last 40 minutes. They're offside, though. Well, you can see Robin Whitfield's got plenty to say there. Darryl Williams, not sure what all that was about. Bit of
back chat by Darryl Williams. Now, I think it might have been for the hit on Hugh McGann, which seemed to me to be pretty bad, but maybe from the midfield, Darryl Williams was giving the referee some advice. That's about 3 penalties in the second half to France.
There's Frace. Well, that's a good run by David Frace. Scored a try in the first test. He's a dangerous runner, as you can see. Taken away by Ontar. And the tackle made on Debay. 10 metres short of the line. Kiwis having to defend here. And getting very close was the hooker, K-Demi. Here's Burnhamby. That was all pretty lukewarm from Terry Burnhamby. K-Demi again. Last tackle. Out to Ontar. They'll have to shift it quickly here. Dumas. Little kick by Peugeot. And a good save made by Williams. Gary Freeman is there. So's George Mann. They'll be looking for Brent Todd this time. So enthusiastic tackling by the French in the opening stages of this second half. George Mann's taken high and he complains to the referee. Dean Bell with the kick. He gets flattened. Could get a bit out of hand here.
It's just bubbling under at the moment, isn't it? A lot of tension in the game.
Up to Rabo. France attacking, 40 metres short of the line. Here's Burnhamby, here's Price again. Held this time by Sherlock. He'll play it to Devay. Well, that's not a very good pass. It was well taken by Cavastani. He did well. Here's Pong. Clark across. And Tony Kemp made a pretty telling tackle as well. Here's on top, Duma. Oh, that's a useless kick. Absolutely useless. And it'll be a drop out from the corner line. So Dwayne Main will take it quickly. Up to Todd. Kiwi survived that onslaught. And that was Gilles Dumas, the man who made the kick. Here's Freeman. Across to Watson. Freeman up to Sam Stewart. Enthusiastic run again by Stewart. Next man up is Kemp, who'll do the kicking. Lobs it down to Jean-Philippe Peugeot. Kiwis all there. George Mann and Kurt Sherlock make the tackles. Here's Pong. He looked pretty dangerous down that left wing side when he went.
You hardly saw him in the first 40 minutes too. So he's getting involved at least here in the second half. Still 8-0 to the Kiwis.
Brace suddenly starting to look a bit dangerous in the centres. One good run already in the second spell. 5 minutes gone. Ball's gone loose. That'll be lost forward. Be Kiwi ball into the scrum. And Kiwis taking a while to work themselves down into an attacking position here. They've had to survive a couple of near misses at the other end. Away goes Gary Freeman. Freeman having a gallop. 20 metres short of the line. Plays it up to Stewart. Now Dwayne Mann. Again, Freeman takes the first pass. Here's Clark. French defence is up very, very quickly. Now Sherlock to Todd. Here's Kemp. Kemp to Freeman. Here's George Mann. Ball knocked down. Knocked on. No, knocked on. No try. Wasting their time.
No try. Big disappointment here. Quel dommage. What a pity.
Patrick on. A couple of the Kiwis didn't hear the whistle either. Darrell Williams and Dwayne Mann. They've got a long run back. And there's the man who made the big run, Patrick Ontar. Was always a knock on.
Yes, indeed. Funny how the players who are losing ground on the chase hear them stop first and look around and say it's all over.
Coming on the Kiwi side, McGann up to Freeman. Good little move here. Here's Dave Watson, and Dave Watson's away down the left wing side. Try number 15 for the tour for Dave Watson, and the Kiwis have a third and lead by 12 points to 0.
Well, I think that might have been a 12-point try, you know, because there the French were hitting for the other end, brought back, and that's not correct. Of course, number 2 is Dave Watson, and a lovely try. Worked the ball to the left with McGann and Freeman, then straight out to Watson, and a long run in down the left wing side. Lovely try.
Dave Watson, 15 tries on the tour. We're going back to have a look at the replay of a previous move. This is the form of Patrick Ontar, and I think we know he can run. And that didn't come to anything, unfortunately, for the French. And then just a couple of minutes later, the old rugby lefto move, where the loose forward comes out of the back of the scrum, the halfback runs across, draws the winger and leaves the winger clear. And the Kiwis have worked that move a number of times on this tour, and just about every time it's worked to perfection. Change of goal kicker now, Kurt Sherlock. That's a good kick. Made it look so easy. The first successful kick of the day from anybody, and Kurt Sherlock lands the goal. 14's appropriate on his back because that's the score, 14 points to 0.
Now it'll be interesting to see how the French react. They were full of it in the crowd when Ontar broke away and raced away 60 metres, full of encouragement and hope. Straight away they've been dashed with the converted try, back now to 14-0 to the New Zealanders.
Good strong run by Sam Stewart. Well, this is the score that France led by in the first test at one stage by 14 points to 0. And the Kiwis had to come back. You can see there Robin Whitfield calling play it. Pass knocked down, but it's been knocked forward by France. The Kiwis might get another 6 here. They will. So 6 more from here. George Mann looking to offload to Tony Kemp, who was coming through from fullback. Here's Todd. Well, the Kiwis absorbed that early second half pressure. What a good tour Hugh McGann's had. Inspirational leader on the field and exactly the same off the field. Now Kemp up to Dean Bell. Away Darryl Williams goes down the right wing side, looking to lob it back and field to Mike Kiwiti, and Mike Kiwiti gets a try, and it's really starting to open up now. And congratulations all round. Hugh McGann, one of the first there, he's delighted. Hugh McGann and Mike Kiwiti have been roommates throughout this tour, and Kiwiti, who came on this tour probably as a second team player, has earned his inclusion in the test side today, and that's a try that he won't forget for a while. 18 points to 0.
Superb passing by the New Zealanders. I don't think any of the Frenchmen actually touched them as they come along, as the ball comes along the line. Beautiful passing. Bell made the space for Williams. Williams having a look all the time, realising he's not going to make it, lobbed the pass, not to the first man, not to the second man, but long pass infield to the third man, Kiwiti, and he's over, and no French player touched a New Zealander in that try.
Well, we thought the floodgates might open, and I think the finger is almost out of the dike here. 18 points to 0. Here's Kurt Sherlock. Not this time, just pushes it to the right. So 18 points to 0, and we're 12 minutes into the second half. Already the Kiwis have scored 10 points in 12 minutes here.
Now we hope you're enjoying this game on screen sport throughout Europe as well as on television New Zealand. There's the score, 12 minutes into the second half.
Here's Hugh McGann. The ball's fallen away, and it's a penalty against the French. The referee had asked for the ball to be played, and the French continued to try and wrest it from McGann, and were thus penalised. So it's all getting a little bit frustrating now, I suppose, for this French team. They look at the scoreboard and find they're 18 points to 0 down. Oh, dear me. Goodness gracious. Brent Todd taken in a shockingly high tackle.
Well, that won't improve the tempers in the game, which were looking early in the second half as though they were bubbling along and were heading for a bit of a scrap. But that was a bad hit, and he's gone. So he's gone for 10 minutes.
So that won't help the French. They've got 12 men left on the park. It's the hooker, K to me, who is off. Here's George Mann. Big, strong run again by George Mann. Plays it ahead. There's no marker there. Carry on, says the referee. Flicks it to Freeman. Freeman linking up with Kiwis. Kiwis back to Freeman. Up it goes to Stewart. Finds McGann in field. Straightening it up here, McGann. And the Kiwis finding a lot of gaps now. Just near the quarter line. Here's Freeman again. Oh, that's a foot trip, surely. What do you reckon? Goodness gracious. Gary Freeman's down and is struggling to play it. Well, he'll stay there, waiting for the physio, and the Kiwis carry on. Here's McGann. Finds Kemp. Sherlock. Here's Dwayne Mann. Still standing and just a metre short. So Dwayne Mann. Sam Stewart. Just the ball bobbling around a bit. He managed to get it away, McGann. Freeman's okay again. He's back in action. Here's Kiwis. Kiwis out to Dean Bell, and Dean Bell will score at the corner. Well, the gaps are all over the place now. France down to 12 men, and Dean Bell gets on the try-scoring list, and it's 22 points to 0.
Yeah, lovely try. The advantage of a man coming in deep and running onto the ball at speed was never better shown than in the last pass to Dean Bell. It's a sort of a rugby football, rugby league principle, and that was well executed by Dean Bell. And for try number 5, that's a third of the second half. So they're keeping ahead of the clock here in the second half with 14 points in about 15 minutes. And that was a strong run. The New Zealanders have looked good in the second half, well and truly. They've now got the advantage, if you like, of having only 12. Here's Watson starting it in the last play of the ball to Sammy Stewart. He freed it to McGann, who swung it to where Gary Freeman had got off the injury problem, and he kept it moving as well. And look how Dean Bell starts running onto the ball with speed, and Kiwis sees him, and he gets the ball at the top clip and easily beats Pong in the corner. Sherlock with the kick.
That's a lovely looking kick from Sherlock. Lovely kick from Kurt Sherlock, and 24 points to 0. And that kick received some acclamation, more so than the try did. So Sherlock kicks the goal to make it 24 points to 0.
What an onslaught this is in the second half. 16 points in 16 minutes.
Well, the Kiwis were utterly determined they were going to finish this tour on a high note. They were very disappointed with their performance in the first test. They felt they were a far better side than France, and yet they allowed France to get within 2 points of them. Here's Dean Clark now. I noticed just as Sherlock was lining up that kick, Tony Gordon was clenching his fists and saying to the Kiwis, keep it going. Here's Dave Watson. Across to Mann, George Mann. Here's Kiwis starting to range wider now. He's a man with plenty of pace. And as the game opens up, I think you'll find that Mike Kiwis will be getting wider and wider and using that pace. Here's Stewart. McGann opening up again here for Watson. Finding Sherlock. Nice little pass back to Gary Freeman. Now McGann pops it up to George Mann. He was able to release it almost inevitably, really. Good pass across to Kiwis. Transferred it to Williams. Williams trying to stay in the field of play. It's been taken away by Bell, in fact. But the ball went forward from Williams to Bell. Remember that France don't have their specialist hooker in there. K to me is spending time in the sin bin. He's still there. I don't think anyone wants to be the hooker, do they? Well, it's in, and it's out. It's all over the place.
The ball went straight into Hugh McGann's face there, so he took one on the snorer, as we say. There he is coming back, holding it.
So France have a penalty for offside play by the Kiwis. We're almost halfway through the second spell now. 24 points to 0. Up to Rabot. Patrick Ontar can't find 70 volunteers to take the next one up. Finally, it's Kabastani who does the job. Here's Burnhamby, who hasn't really fired a shot in this game. Ontar plays it to Burnhamby. 24 points to 0 after leading 8-0 at half-time. Now Dumas. Nice little kick. Well read by Kemp, and that's Kemp straight into the gap. Having on his opposite number, gave it to McGann. McGann pops it up to Dean Bell. Good tackling, though, by Gilles Dumas. But once again, Tony Kemp, with an electrifying burst from fullback, puts the Kiwis in a good attacking position. Here's a little kick and chase from Gary Freeman, and Dean Bell leading the charge. But I think he might have been offside, so he didn't carry on with it.
The young fella getting into the game there. Just, is he in the field of play?
I think he stepped into me.
Yeah, I think he is.
Now France bring it out. Here's Burnhamby. Now Pong. Good smothering tackle by Kemp. Clark was there also to help out. Now Dumas. It's not a great pass, but it was finally snapped up by Devay, the second row forward. Kiwis seem assured of getting their World Cup points in this game. Ball popped up, loose. Couple of knock-ons there. Well, in fact, carry on, another 6. So France get 6 more. Again, it's knocked down by the Kiwis. Here's Burnhamby. And the tackle made by Dean Bell. Another 6. Could go on forever.
Like the old days.
Kabastani to play it. 8 metres on the France's side of halfway. McGann almost got the intercept. You can see that coming a mile off.
Only 1 team in it now, though. 24-0 in the second half, and time gone nearly 22 minutes.
Calling the hooker K to me back onto the field. So that'll please Kabastani, who had to go to the front row. Here's Ontar to Dumas, Frace. Fullback runs into a brick wall in the form of Kurt Sherlock. Hope you're enjoying this telecast, coming to you live from the Albert Amique Stadium in Carcassonne, through Television New Zealand, also Screen Sport throughout Europe. Ball's loose, and Kemp has it. So play on, says the referee. Tony Kemp gets away from Frace easily enough. Away he goes again. Got his pass away to Kurt Sherlock. Sherlock looking for Watson, and it's knocked down by Dave Watson. Some of the French tackling now is, well, really, it's non-existent. Taken out by Ontar to Dumas. Hello, it's been lost again. And the Kiwis have it this time. This lovely old town of Carcassonne. Freeman up to Bell. Here's Kemp again. Five metres out from the quarter line. Bell, he'll take the return pass from Freeman. Dean Bell's had a very busy game indeed. He scored a try. And he's really lifted the Kiwi midfield. Here's Brent Todd. Todd plays it now to Dwayne Mann. Here's George Mann. Freeman again, spots a little gap. Decides not to carry on. And he'll play it right in centre field on the last tackle. Darryl Williams lobbing the kick away. Now the big chase is on. And it's been lost and forced finally over the line. So it'll be a goal line dropout. Philippe Charon, the man who took it. And the goal line dropout now for France. 15 minutes left in the game. 15 minutes left of this Kiwi Rugby League tour of Great Britain and France. This is the 17th match on tour. 4 losses, 2 to Great Britain and losses to St Helens and Wigan. No losses in France, and that doesn't look as though it's going to change today. 24 points to 0. Williams plays it to Kemp. Dwayne Mann up to Freeman. Freeman ranging across. Gave it to Clark. Here's Dwayne Mann again. Freeman missing out. Todd gave it to Kawiti. Here's Kawiti, and in the corner goes Dave Watson, and the referee says yes. Well, what another skillful run by Mike Kawiti, and Dave Watson has gone in at the corner. Kawiti sets up another one, and it's 28 points to 0.
Yes, you said before, Grant, that a lot of the fire has gone out of the French defence, and this is another example. A long, strong run here by Mike Kawiti, and he certainly merited his test selection today. Look at this. This is a marvellous shot, and he's showing the ball, and then just a one-handed flick to Watson, and Watson with that very fast burst in at the corner. Nice try, the second today for Dave Watson.
So there's Mike Kawiti having a yarn with Gary Freeman. He's had a hand in a lot of the tries, and really has been an inspirational effort from Kawiti, who may not be in this test had Kurt Sorensen not decided that his international career was over at the end of that first test. Sam Stewart pretty happy with proceedings. There is Mike Kawiti from the Upper Hutt Club in Wellington. It's been a long time making it to a New Zealand side. He's been in the Wellington team for a long, long time. In fact, he's played over 50 matches for Wellington. And at the end of January, he'll come back to this part of the world to play at Leeds. Kurt Sherlock, away to the left. The Kiwis have made a replacement. And Kelly Shelford, I think, is on the field. Dean Clark. Yes, Kelly Shelford is on the field. Dean Clark has come off. So there's the score, 28 points to 0. And we've had about 28 minutes in the second half, so about 12 to go. And looks like replacements all round here. France are going to make one as well. Number 16 is Gotti. Got to find someone who wants to come off the field. Maybe they'll play with 14. No, in fact, it's the little winger, I think. Philippe Charon. Dean Clark is off then for the Kiwis. Hugh McGann makes a lovely catch. Martin Crowe would have been proud of that. As Williams plays it. 28 points to 0. George Mann goes crashing on. What a strong game he's had. Now Dwayne Mann. Here's Kelly Shelford. His first touch. He's on for Dean Clark. Kick from Kemp is not a bad one, heading towards the touchline as the fullback Peugeot manages to keep it in the field of play. He's not going to find any way through there as Dean Bell makes the initial tackle, and Hugh McGann helps him out. There's Peugeot again. 28 points to 0. France penned near their own line, just 15 metres out. Dumas. Good little run by Duvet, second row forward. Asked to play it. He thought the referee said carry on, but he was asked to play it. Here's Frace. Oh, good tackle by Kurt Sherlock. And they'll have to give the ball to the Kiwis here. And Dave Watson lets it go. So France immediately back in possession. Now Dumas, not sure what to do, gives the pass to Rabot. Now Dumas out to Kabastani. Solid tackle again by Bell. We can come back. There's been a bit of an altercation, shall we say. Touch judge hasn't got an opinion on it. Kabastani let one go at Dean Bell. Bell was having none of that. Robin Whitfield wants to have a yarn with Dean Bell.
Two Wigan lads there, the referee and Dean Bell.
So, the kick downfield. France now have a chance. 28 points to 0, they're down.
Sorry, Grant. The referee's from Widnes, of course, isn't he?
Robin Whitfield. France have it in centre field. Kiwi defence today has been quite outstanding. They've left very few gaps. But here's one for Duvet. And he almost got through. Just had his ankle tipped by McGann. Kiwis won't want the French to get a try here. Well, they won't do it by doing that because Kelly Shelford now has the ball. And plays it to Kawiti. Now Freeman. Cross to McGann. Good quick hands. Now Dave Watson's away down the left wing side. Lobs it back and field to Kemp. Here's Kawiti again. Looking to offload if he can. He does again to Kemp. They kept it going. Now Sherlock up to Dwayne Mann. Well, that's good play by the Kiwis. That started way down near their own goal line. So it's taken out by Sherlock. Now Freeman. Here's Kawiti to Watson. Stewart. Watson again. Bringing it back towards the traffic. Todd. Just near halfway. 28 points to 0. About 8 minutes left in the game. George Mann. Flicked it away in the tackle. Now Kemp. He got it away too to Dwayne Mann. French just not making or killing the ball. And the Kiwis allowed to stand in the tackle and let the pass go. Kelly Shelford hit straight up the middle on the last tackle. Now Freeman across to McGann. Well, a big hit on Kurt Sherlock. Ball's loose and is fielded by Dave Watson. McGann, Kiwis keeping it going. Here's Kemp again. Looking to release the pass, does so to Dean Bell. Kiwis just toying with the French here, keeping the ball alive. George Mann, hither and thither. Still going, finally goes to ground. Now Todd. Here's Freeman. Across to Shelford, whips it across to Sherlock. Another big tackle. He got it away to Kawiti. Here's Mike Kawiti, releases it up to Sam Stewart. Stewart across to Watson. Looking for number 3, Dave Watson, and here it comes. 3 tries today for Dave Watson. And that's 17 tries on tour now for Dave Watson. And the Kiwis are ahead by 32 points to 0. And indeed it is Dave Watson rather than Gary Mercer, who left the field early on. So what a tour it's been for Dave Watson. He'll be going to continue to play at Rydale, York, which is not too far from where the Kiwis, in fact, were stationed for 6 or 7 weeks up in York. Played most of this season, most of this tour at centre 3/4, but out on the left wing side today with Kevin Ero out of the team. He's added 3 tries to the 14 he's already scored on this tour. Once again, Mike Kawiti had a big hand in the try. And Kurt Sherlock has added the extra 2. So 34 points to 0. Let's just go back and have a look at this. The Kiwis kept the ball alive for a long time here. It was a long pass here, and Sherlock was hitting a thumping tackle again. The ball might just have gone forward there. The referee said carry on, and Mike Kawiti made one of those long runs of his again. Then Sam Stewart had a good run. Straightened it up, drew the last line of defence. Watson had to reach back, and once he avoided the tackle of Forquet, it was all over bar the shouting, and Watson around scoring close to the post. Try converted, 34 to 0. George Mann. Another strong run from George Mann. Here's Stewart. Sam Stewart to play at 10-metre line in New Zealand territory. They'll be looking for more tries, the Kiwis. They've still got 4 minutes. Here's Todd. Very convincing performance after a near miss here at Carcassonne 2 weeks ago. Here's the kick from Kemp. Bouncing for the fullback, Peugeot. Not much spirit left on this French side now. Big tackle again by Hugh McGann. On Burnhamby. McGann gets in and makes the second tackle on Cyril Pond, the wing 3/4. It's a tired, rather dejected looking French side now. Cabastani has a bit of a run. And that'll be against Kelly Shelford. Looked as though he threw one there. Cabastani was the target. So here come the French again. That was a forward pass for sure. So time running out, just over 2 minutes left in the game. $34 points to 0. Most impressive performance by the Kiwis to end this tour. A tour in which they've had their frustrations. I think they felt they were as good as Great Britain. Didn't deserve to lose the Test Series. Now Freeman. Williams standing up as winger Cyril Pont. Freeman gives it up to Dean Bell. Bell goes into the action. Sam Stewart thumping ahead. Dwayne Mann gives it to Freeman. Freeman wipes it across field. Here's Pouchot. Just about a minute left in this game, certainly by my timing anyway. Across it comes towards Cyril Pont. There's a Rabot, the prop forward. Ball bounces loose. And France back in possession. Little kick by Pouchot, well read by Kemp. Just on the Kiwi side of halfway, and that's where Tony Kemp will play it. Having a few problems getting to his feet. Kiwis up to Sherlock. Releases it nicely to Shelford. Decides to take the tackle. 8 metres inside Kiwi territory. Just running time out here now, the Kiwis. They have the lead. They always set themselves. They wanted to win it by 30. It's 34 points to 0. Ball's gone loose. And the referee decides to put down a scrum. Away it goes. Dumas up to Frace. BM, one of the replacement players. France have 2 of those on the field. The Kiwis have made a couple of changes too, as Burnham B knocks it on this time. So it's a bit of an untidy ending to this game. Looks like Hugh McGann down on one knee. No, in fact, it's Kelly Shelford, number 15. Kiwis bring it out. McGann, in fact, stands wide. Freeman up to Bell. Bell lobs it up to Williams. Williams releases it nicely for Gary Freeman. And that's the end of the game, as Gary Freeman takes the tackle. And the Kiwis have beaten France by 34 points to 0 after leading at the break by 8 points to 0. Tony Kemp and Darryl Williams scored tries in the first half. And in the second spell, Dave Watson, who'd been the leading try scorer with 14 prior to the start of this game, he scored 3 further tries. And other tries scored by Kiwis. And in fact, that was it. So, and Dean Bell scored a try also. So the Kiwis came with 5 tries in the second half, and Tony Gordon there looking pretty happy, and no reason why he shouldn't be either, because the Kiwis have really played extremely well here in the second spell. 2 tries in the first half, 8 points to 0, and we're just standing by to maybe have a quick word down on the field of play as the French team leave the field. That's the end of a 17-match tour for the Kiwis. And there's Sam Stewart, who's worked very hard indeed on the tour. So we can leave our screen sport viewers at this stage with the news from Carcassonne that the Kiwis have got the World Cup points, winning the second test over France today by 34 points to 0. Now for Television New Zealand viewers, just stick around, because any moment we hope to grab an interview with, and I think in fact Keith Quinn has some players down there with him, Tank Gordon and Hugh McGann.
Well, we have with us Tony Gordon coming in. Tony, congratulations, 34 to 0, a record score for the New Zealand Kiwis in France. How do you feel?
Well, I think it'll silence a lot of Monday morning coaches back home, but very impressed the way the blokes came out and played, especially after such a long tour.
What was the difference between the performance here today and the first test?
Oh, the preparation was far greater here, and we didn't have so much travelling in the first test, and obviously the cancellation didn't go down too well, and I thought the referee went pretty well today.
What about this performance today, added on to the games you played and the form you showed in Britain? Is this the best performance you put together?
No, I think the 2 games against Great Britain in the first test of witness was far outweigh this game, but you know, still a great performance to win by that much.
Okay, Tony, what's the future for you now?
I don't know. I think I'll go home and spend a few weeks around the beach and decide what I'm going to do.
You might be available for next year?
I've got an agreement with George Rainey. I'll let him know what's going on.
Okay, Tony, congratulations. Great way to end the tour.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Tony. Here's the captain, Hugh McGann. Hugh, congratulations. A marvellous win. A whole bunch of tries there, especially in the second half. Was that the key to the win today?
Very much so. We planned to go out and play the reverse of what we played in the first test. And that was play against the wind, which we did, and we were able to be in front at half-time and come into the second half with the wind behind us and put on a few more tries, which thankfully the guys did and stuck to the game plan, which is one thing that we probably haven't done through a great percentage of this tour, so it is very relieving.
It looked like at the last few minutes I was down the sideline, it looked like you were very keen to keep them to nil.
Very much so. You know, we came at the start of this French section of the tour to try and keep it no tries against us. Unfortunately, the first 2 games have proved not the case, but in the 3 games after, we've kept them scoreless and they haven't crossed their line, which is another incentive.
Now, the unfortunate missing of the game midweek meant that you had a longer preparation for this game too.
Yeah, it was a lot longer preparation, which was probably good for us. Going into a game a few days after another game, or especially a test match, it is very hard to lift yourself. But thankfully, I won't say thankfully it was called off, but it was, in hindsight, it was a good omen.
Now, in modern terms, Hugh, this has been a heck of a long tour. You've been away since late in September. We've come over a span of 4 months now to December. Long trip. What have you got to say about the tour overall?
Well, generally it has been a fairly happy tour, but it is an extensive tour, very long, too long, I think, for players to be away from their loved ones, friends and family back home. Everyone's keenly looking forward to having a couple of days rest in London and looking to all the smiley, friendly faces back in New Zealand.
I think in your own case, you've got a little baby that's started walking, I think, since you left home?
Yeah, he started walking, he started to talk. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how he has progressed over those few months. I've missed out a lot with my family, and once again, I am looking forward to going home.
It's been the same for the others in the team as well?
Very much so, too.
And what's the future, Hugh, for you? You're carrying on in the game?
Well, I had ambitions at the start of this year to have a good home series against Australia and an away test series against Great Britain. Unfortunately, that didn't come about, but I've probably got a shot next year at taking all 3 home series in New Zealand. So if things come right, I'll see how I am at the end of this tour and the start of next season. I probably would like to have another crack.
Okay, Hugh, it was a great way to finish the tour with a 34-0 win. Well done.
Thank you very much, Hugh.
There it is, the New Zealand captain, Hugh McGann, here at Carcassonne. New Zealand have beaten France by 34-0. We hope you enjoyed our live telecast coming to you on a Monday morning from Carcassonne, and that completes the extensive coverage that Television New Zealand has given both the All Blacks tour and the Kiwis Rugby League tour of England, and of course here in France. It was a marvellous day for New Zealand to finish the Rugby League tour today with the 34-0 victory. On behalf of commentator Grant Nisbet and producer Gavin Service from the Television New Zealand team here in France, this is Keith Quinn saying au revoir, à bientôt.
Oh, and I bet you had a fun time too. France, what a wonderful place to go to. And a good result too for New Zealand, certainly very impressive in the latter stages, and running away to a very comfortable 34-0 win. We wish both Keith Quinn and Grant Nisbet and Gavin Service a safe trip home. Well, finally, Alan McLaughlin, at around about 20 minutes to 5 in the morning. Your reaction to what you've seen?
Oh, good performance, wasn't it? You know, 7 tries in all and a record score. That's the biggest winning margin ever by New Zealand against France. And the fact that they held them scoreless was another plus, and good to see Dave Watson getting 3 tries, his debut test match. Kevin Ero got 3 tries against Papua New Guinea in his debut test, and Watson showing what a good player he is, just as home on the wing as he is in the centres, and he hugged the touchline well and finished off. And I thought all their debut players had good matches. Mike Kiwis was there to flick the passes on. Dean Clark, while he was on the field, made some very telling tackles, and George Mann also did a lot of hard work, although perhaps he didn't cart the ball up as much as I would have liked to have seen. But overall, a very good performance and a good way to finish.
Yeah, and one final comment. Do you believe Tank Gordon will coach the Kiwis next year?
I don't know. I just really don't know. You don't know what Tony's thinking, and I think he's made the right decision, not making a hasty decision now. You're far better to, if you're going to make an announcement on retirement, you're far better to do it at the start of the season than at the end of one which has had a few problems.
Indeed. Well, it'll be interesting to see what develops when the players arrive home, and I'm sure they'll be looking forward to getting back to their families and their friends. Well, that's our coverage of both the Kiwi Rugby League Tour and also the All Blacks in Wales and Ireland. We hope you've enjoyed this extensive coverage, as Keith mentioned, from the team that brought it to you and our production team, everyone who's got up so early this morning. Oh, goodness me. Good morning to you all.